So here's a short story about a guy, a now ex-husband and father, who's full on getting the absolute wrath of Reddit because when his youngest turned 18, legal adult, and moved out of the house off to college or something, boom, he was done. Divorced his wife, and now his life is infinitely better after a miserable marriage. And of course, because, most people out there are unhappy and misery loves company, he's getting the wrath of Reddit. Because A, he left her instead of working it out, and B, because other people are giving him a hard time for staying in the marriage that long. And I do agree he shouldn't have stayed in that marriage that long if he was that unhappy. I think the only reason a guy should stay in a bad marriage is indeed if he's fearful for the kid's safety and that she'll get them no matter what. That is the only exception. Even then, things got to be figured out. Or it's a couple years, and that way he doesn't get hammered with the child support, and that's that. But regardless, guys, if you're that unhappy, find a way out, unless it's truly a dire situation. That is usually rare. Titled, Am I the a-hole for getting divorced as soon as my last kid was out of the house? And a shout to Barry for sending in the story. He says here, I should have listened to my dad before I got married. Lots of guys should have listened to their dad before they got married. But I was 18 and I knew everything. I was in love and I was going to be with her no matter what. Smack! Well, this is what you get for not listening to your dad and being in love. We got married, we got jobs, we had 2 kids. My wife's family helped us with everything. My family was supportive as they could be, but we sidelined them. Smack! Yeah, you're an a-hole for doing that. But then again, he was young, so, 18 years old, teenagers know everything. We spent all our holidays with my wife's family. Both kids' birthday parties were held at my in-laws, and my parents were invited as a courtesy. We both worked hard and raised the kids, but as time went on, there were 2 groups in our home. Her and the kids were one, and then there was me. All my choices were undermined. All of my wishes were dismissed. I could not even have privacy in my own bedroom by locking the door because it stressed the kids to knock. Okay, that's not at all surprising. A lot of guys become like, with the wife, it's all about the kids, then her family, then her friends, or actually no, more like the friends and kids, then her family, and then probably, the dog, the cat, and then the husband. Who wants to be in something like that? This is why he shouldn't have stayed that long. But obviously this guy wasn't laying down the law when he should, or he did, but it didn't work. After 20 years, I was done. Last fall, my youngest went away for school. I filed for divorce that week. I'm sure it was like probably the Shawshank Redemption when Andy Dufresne escaped in that pipeline of crap, and he was there out in the rain with his hands in the air like, thank you, Jesus. That was his Andy Dufresne moment. We didn't have assets besides our cars. I walked away with nothing to show for it besides 2 kids that never thought about my side if the family was important. My ex claims that I blindsided her and she didn't know I was unhappy. What a steaming pile of crap. She didn't even care to know this guy. And by the way, people on Reddit are saying that he's exaggerating. I fully believe she knew he wasn't happy. She didn't care. He was just a paycheck. I asked her what about constant ongoing arguments for the last 14 years made her think that I was happy or dissatisfied with our marriage. I asked her what she thought it meant that I was constantly suggesting we get counseling, both for ourselves and her, for how she dedicated all her energy on the kids and instead of it on us or herself. So he was talking about going to therapy, but going to therapy would mean, or counseling, that there may be something wrong with her. So she didn't want to do that because they never want to admit there is anything wrong with her. I said that when my dog died, I didn't get a new one because I knew that although I would be the one to care for them and pay for the bills, she would find a way to claim him during the divorce. I bet she would. That happens. That's one of the worst things that comes from the divorce. Like the kids are old enough to get out and no issues with the kids anymore because they're legal adults. But darn it, she's going to keep the dog or the cat just to spite you, even though, without a shadow of a doubt, it's your dog or your cat. I don't blame him. So I'm 41 years old and I'm starting over. It took me no time to find a better job. The only thing keeping me in my old one was that I was home every night. Now I'm working in a different city, doing night shift and making more money than I ever did before. I have a rescue dog I got the week I left. I'm walking him more and I have met new friends in my neighborhood and the dog park. Awesome. He's 41. He still has plenty of years ahead of him. That's great. I just wish he didn't stay in that bad marriage for so long. And I think honestly he just let himself be pee whipped. Yeah, he said he recommended counseling a lot, but was he really laying down the law? Probably not. But hey, he's a free man. My ex's family, her and our kids think I'm the a-hole for not communicating that I was unhappy and just leaving. Come on. She knew. I talked to her constantly about everything that was bothering me. The kids being allowed to come into the bedroom without knocking. Then tell your own kids to get the fuck out. It's one thing when they're 3 or 4 years old, but they're doing that when they're fucking 16 in high school? I don't think so. Her unwillingness to eat when I cooked my cultural food and letting the kids not eat it too. How I had to attend events with my family alone because she didn't want to come or let the kids come, plus a million other things. Well, absolutely, she sounds like a selfish a-hole, but again, I'm having a hard time buying that this guy wasn't laying down the law. I think he was just being a wet puppy. I started dating. She's amazing. She's a teacher, never been married, and she's 32. We aren't at the meeting family stage yet, but I've met a lot of her friends, and I'll be attending Easter at her house where she's hosting for everyone who isn't going home. Well, I'm glad he's having a good time. I'm glad he's with a chick that he has a good time with. And hey, she's younger, never married. But what's the problem here? We all know it. She's 32. Guess what? She's thinking wedding bells. And I guarantee you, or shall I say, almost guarantee you, pretty close to guaranteeing you, she's going to want kids. So he may think he's on easy street now. I hope he had a vasectomy or otherwise, because she's going to want to probably get married and have kids. And probably his wife, this dude's ex-wife may have the last laugh saying, ha ha ha, now you're having kids all over again, which is possible. This is another problem because I moved on so quickly. It's really not. I had been checked out of our marriage for years. She's having a tougher time. She's not in the right place to date, and her priorities are the kids, the adult kids who do not live at home anymore. Your ex-wife is not your problem anymore. You dealt with it for years, and I believe that she obviously didn't give a crap, about him. I'm believing him there, but I also think our guy probably was a pushover and didn't truly stand up for himself. And frankly, probably realized he was going to get hammered in child support, so he waited until the youngest was out. I've seen a few posts lately that made me want to ask. I know how I feel. I know how she feels. I'm mostly estranged from my family, so I don't count their opinions. And the kids and her family have been clear about me abandoning her after all this time. Am I the a-hole for leaving as soon as I could after our youngest left? No, you're not the a-hole for doing it. You are miserable. You said yourself you tried to get her to do counseling and other things. Nope, she didn't care. She showed her actions she didn't care. It's your life. But they expect constantly. Society expects men to just never-endingly have to suffer for everybody else to be happy. We're not allowed to be happy. Well, guess what? Bullshit, yes we are. And he's got a second chance. And if his kids are pissed off at him, hey, you know what? They're young adults now. He can now be realistic with them and tell them the freaking truth. And if his ex is pissed off at him, who cares? If her family's pissed off at him, who cares? And even his family's pissed off at him. Now, if they want to be pissed off because they didn't see him very much over the years, or the grandkids because he was not having a backbone, okay. But it's his life. But there's one big problem I have in this whole story. I'm so happy he got out, happy he's starting over, new house, new job, making more money, adopting the dog, that's my favorite part. But this young woman he's with, younger woman, 32, never been married. Great. But I'm telling you, the odds are likely she wants to get married and have kids. And if he ain't careful, he's going to do this whole damn thing all over again. And if he hasn't learned anything, he'll be back to being the P-whip guy again, and his ex-wife will be having the last laugh. So I hope he learns. But I was going to read a bunch of the comments. I'm not going to do that. But Reddit is tearing him apart. All the people said he's the biggest a-hole in the world for abandoning her and all that, and he didn't speak up enough. And all the ones that said that he stayed in the marriage that long and he should just ended it because the kids now saw a bad example, and I do agree with that. But this guy truly cannot win. So anyhow, guys, I want to make the point. If you're unhappy in a marriage or a relationship, get out. Unless it's so dire and you're worried about kids. Again, because some guys don't leave because the wife's a wacko and he knows that the judge will award almost all full, whatever you call it, towards the mom, and he has to protect the kids. Other than that, get out. That's what I have to say about that. I sound like Forrest Gump. That's what I have to say about that.